What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. Real quick, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, like the video if you do end up liking it. Let's get into the video. Alright guys, I am done with my workout, so I'm going to talk to you guys about getting diagnosed with this and how much of a heartbreak time in my life it was, and like how hard it was to actually get diagnosed, and etc., etc. I'm going to stress 1,000% right now how important I believe it is to be your own health advocate, and I'm going to keep it at that. And never give up. If you think that something's not right and you think that you don't have the right diagnosis or doctors aren't treating you right, this, that, because I had that, you need to keep fucking pushing, because you deserve to have your health back. You deserve to have your health, and you deserve to be in good health. You deserve to have the body you want, all that stuff. And you shouldn't stop until you get there, even if a doctor is telling you otherwise. And yeah, I'm gonna keep my opinion of doctors out of this for the most part. I do think that a majority of doctors are good. Just want to state that, but I've had a really poor experience when it comes to this. So I want to start this off by saying, like, the hardest thing about POTS and like dysautonamia disorders is the fact that, like, there's no definitive test that you can take in order to get diagnosed. Like, if you would get a virus, go figure I say that right. If you get a virus, or you would get like cancer or some sort of pulmonary disease or whatever, right? There are tests that you can do. There's imaging, there's the test, you know, the stress test for your heart. You can take blood tests or blood work to see if you have clotting or different things. You can't do any of that when it comes to POTS or dysautonamia. They have a tilt table test, and they have like a heat box test, which the tilt table, they tilt you and then they bring you back up to see if you pass out or see if you're blacking out. They check your blood pressure, your heart rate, all that stuff. And then they have the heat box test, which basically like measures where you're sweating from and how much. But I had an electrocardiologist basically tell me, like, if you think you have POTS, just live like you have POTS. Don't spend the money on those tests, because the test could be like, you could have a bad day, and you could not have enough sodium in your diet, and all these different things can throw these tests off. And if you don't have POTS, it could tell you that you have POTS or dysautonomia. And if you do have dysautonomia or POTS, you could have a good day, and then you might not, you know, show up. So it's like a whirlwind of things. Like, you could or could not have the diagnosis, and the test could also tell you you do or don't have it, which is, it's like, it's just insane, right? So, and there is a blood test, but it only works on like 20% of people, because 20% of people, their POTS or dysautonomia shows up in the form of an autoimmune issue. And so those are the only like 20% of people that will actually like show some sort of signs from blood. So getting into my story, basically I'm gonna try to keep this short-ish. I was at the gym one day, and then at this time, this was about 2 years ago, it was like the most heartbreaking time of my life. It's one of the most heartbreaking times of my life. It sucked. It was the worst. But anyway, I was at the gym that I rent space from, and at this time, I was really into conditioning workouts. So I was doing a conditioning workout, and then I got overwhelmed with this feeling that like I couldn't breathe. So I'm supposed to have a meeting. I was supposed to have a meeting with the owner of the gym, this woman that does some work there, and then this other guy. And so we sit down, we're having this meeting, and I still can't catch my breath, and my heart's going crazy. And I'm telling them, eventually I just told them, like, you guys, I'm sorry, I can't do this. Like, I feel like I cannot breathe. And everything starts tingling. I stand up, the whole room just like moves, right? Just like crazy movement. And, so if you've seen like Inception, where they do those like crazy vertigo pullouts with the lens and stuff like that, that's exactly what I saw, and the room spun. This is the first time I've ever experienced anything like that. And so yeah, it got to the point where I asked them to take me to the hospital. I go to the hospital, and they said that everything checks out. Nothing seems normal or irregular. And then they diminish it to anxiety and panic attacks. And there's going to be a long, long trail of that throughout this story. So basically, for the next 5 or 6 months, I'm trying to shorten it up here. Like, life as I knew it completely changed, like 100%. And it was like the scariest, most heartbreaking time of my life, because like anytime I would go to the gym or try to go to the gym, I would feel like like couldn't breathe. So eventually I just completely stopped going to the gym. And that was like the one thing that I like find solace in, right? Like the one thing that like brings me to normal and like level-headed. And as a person who's dealt with anxiety and panic attacks for the better half of my life too, going back to the anxiety thing, I knew that this wasn't anxiety because it didn't manifest the same way as like anxiety and panic attacks had manifested for me in the past. Thankfully, I don't really suffer with that stuff anymore. So to all my mental health sufferers, I feel you. And I hope you recover like me, knock on wood, right? Hopefully I'm fully recovered. But anyway, so yeah, I eventually just completely left the gym. And it was the worst. Like, I can't even tell you guys how many times like I legitimately like cried over like not being able to do this thing that brought me so much peace and happiness. And then there would be a long train of hospital visits for the next 5 or 6 months, to the point where it was I probably was in the hospital about like 10 or more times in that 5 or 6 months. And almost every single time they told me nothing's wrong, it's anxiety. And then I would make appointments with my doctor and he's like, it's anxiety, let's get you back on an anti-anxiety. And I'm like, no, like I know it's not anxiety. I've dealt with this, before. So eventually one time I go to the hospital. I just so happened to get the doctor who actually knows about dysautonamia. And he realizes that something wacky happened with my blood pressure and my heart rate. So he's the one who mentioned it. And he mentions, have you ever heard of dysautonamia? Have you ever heard of POTS syndrome? I'm like, no, I've never heard of that. And at this time I was Googling everything, guys. Like I was trying to find everything. And so he tells me, have you ever heard of this? I'm like, no, I haven't. And then I go, no, I have heard of dysautonamia because my girlfriend actually suffered from it in high school, where she would like pass out and stuff. So I go, no. And then so whatever, he's like, well, this is something that seems to be your case. You should look into it. He goes, I'm not saying that it is that, but you should definitely look it up, look into it, talk to your doctor, and then see some specialists. So I look it up, everything completely like to the T, exactly what I was feeling. So eventually I call my doctor, get referrals, and I see a neurologist, talk to the neurologist. She's like, yeah, it seems like that. This specialist treated me like absolute dog shit, by the way. She did not want to see me. She did not want me to be there. She did not want to, because she looked at my chart and she saw that everybody said anxiety, so she didn't even want to fucking have a minute with me. So, and you could tell. And then I tell her all my symptoms. She goes, it seems like that, but you're going to have to go see these people. And so I go to all these other specialists, and eventually I get to the electrocardiologist, and we talk about it. He's like, yeah, you got POTS. You for sure got POTS. So basically, that's like how I got diagnosed, was I had to go through this stream of events when it was hospital for one doctor to tell me this. One doctor to tell me this. And the sad part about this is like not many doctors even know about this. Like I will be talking to some doctors and bring up the fact that I have POTS and they won't even know what it is. And then when I say dysautonamia, they're like, oh, there's different kinds of dysautonamia? I'm like, what the fuck? Like, anyway, so yeah, it was an extremely hard time in my life. But I got the diagnosis eventually, and I cannot tell you the amount of like just shit off my shoulders that I felt. Like I felt finally like I could take a breath after like 5 or 6 months. Like I know what the fuck it is now. Like even right now, like I'm just getting kind of emotional about it because it's just fucking, it feels so good to know that whatever was going on with me, it wasn't a death sentence. And at this point, like I thought like something was seriously wrong with me. I went to the pulmonologist to get like an echocardiogram, stress test done. I did the asthma test. I did everything that you can possibly do at fucking 26 years old. no, 24, 25, however old I was when this first started. I did every test under the sun that you could ever imagine. And at 24, 25, you know, I thought I was going to die. Like, I literally thought I was going to die. I thought something was wrong with me. I gave up time with friends. I gave up doing, like, you know, physical activity because I thought that something was going to happen. I gave up so many things over this fear. And it was a rational fear. And it felt so good, too, the fact that, like, somebody, like, verified, like, you're right, it's not anxiety. Like, this, you're going through something that is very real. It just felt awesome. It just felt amazing. So anyway, yeah. So that was my diagnosis story. Like, it was scary as shit. But now that, as soon as I knew what happened, I was able to take my life back into my hands, and I wasn't about to use it as an excuse for anything. And I'll tell you guys in a different video how I came over it, how I started working out again, how I picked up the intensity, stuff like that, because this is something that a lot of people do deal with on a daily basis, and worse than mine. But I do think that there's hope for everybody, and I do think that there is an ability to get out of it. So that's the story, guys. That's part 1 to the POTS syndrome videos. I'm going to go eat some popcorn. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Part 2 is going to be basically like how I got back into working out, how I took my life back into my own hands, because that's really how I see it. Because I started doing normal people shit again. And yeah, so I appreciate you guys so much for watching this. This is a little bit more personal. I hope you guys did like it. If you did, please slap a like on this video. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I will talk to you guys next time. Peace out. Bye.